All right. Good day, everyone. Good day to you all out there. And I want to welcome each and every one of you to a moment or two with All for Success. And that is a wonderful Sussex friendly space where we get to just chit chat and talk about all things Sussex plus some other things that just might come to mind. I am so glad to be here this afternoon. I had a morning where I woke up and I have to say, I did not feel my best. Now, I know many people have been reporting that they have either been ill or they've had a bout of maybe cold, cough, flu. And it seems that I don't think I have anything like, that I'm fighting in particular, but I am carrying this overall feeling of just yuck, where you're not exactly feeling sick properly, but you just don't feel your best. A little bit more tired than normal and a little bit more sleepy. So, with that being said, I was a little bit slow on my movements this morning. However, this afternoon, I want you all to get your coffee ready. I did have my coffee, I had to do that. And we will chat just a short while so that I can at least say, hey, I put my time in this Saturday to chat a little bit about the goings ons in and around the world of the Sussex family. In the meantime, however, get your coffee ready, put your feet up. If you have already run your errands, great. If you haven't, well, here's a moment to take a break. And if you want to get out and get fit or exercise or work out while we're doing that, make sure you do that too. I'm going to flip to the side where there's a reminder to stretch, exercise, and do some yoga. I hope I still have my mic on and you can hear that. So if you're going to get fit, this would be a good time. All right. So get up, get out, get fit, try to stay fit, and stretch along with any workout that you have. And hopefully, if I just do this for a short time, you can get in a little bit of fitness while we're online. So, welcome again to All for Success. While you're doing that, go ahead and click that like button. At least I can start to get some information back on the numbers. And I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate the fact that you even spend a moment of your time listening in to what I might have to say. I appreciate that you're here. It is great to have you. Now, for us in this region, I am hoping and wishing that everyone who is in the area of the United States that I'm in, if they are experiencing storms or levels of water rise, that they very much take care of themselves, get out of those dangerous areas where the water is still rising, and try to get yourself to some cover and some areas where you can be safe. Here, it is becoming it's like a slow moving storm, but even though that is the case, the damage that is happening in its path is immense. So we want to definitely send all of our thoughts and prayers to those families that are battling against that horrible situation. Now, also last time I remembered for folks who are the U.S. layer and old enough, if you're going to participate in the elections this year, this is the time to definitely double check on your registration, check on your voting status to make sure that's in order, so that whenever you go down to vote or whenever you show up at the polls to vote, that all of that is already taken care of. Because what you want to do is to make it look like you count, right? We definitely have more power in our political activism than we believe. It is true that from where you sit as an individual citizen who has a very normal day to day working job, that you cannot move giant decisions that are made, and I say giant in size, But what I mean by that is you cannot move decisions in matters that you do not have a stake in. And that sometimes becomes discouraging to the everyday citizen. And you have to not let that happen to you because you have to remember that even as an everyday citizen, you may not be affecting things at the extreme top level, but everything that you do, every decision you make on a daily basis, will definitely have an effect or a ripple effect throughout everything happening in the world, for example, or even in the nation. So, for example, something as simple as whether or not you buy one product versus buying the opposing product. That simple little decision can make the difference in whether certain companies continue to operate. And we have to remember that as individual citizens, that you may think you don't have a huge amount of power, but in fact, you really, really do. And you have to always believe that you can operate in that space and affect change in ways that can be surprising. So make sure that you keep that in mind, especially during our voting season. Okay? So that's my public service announcement. And now moving on. So, as we are here being the Sussex support area, at least that is my perspective, and the parent of adult children, I like to look at what my youngins are doing and what I can enjoy from the work that they are putting in. Here's what's lovely. We've watched Harry. Now, this is the week of Harry. So we've watched Harry fly out to New York. He has joined hands with people who are operating and working at the UN. They are out and about giving speeches talking about safety for young people online and operating in the online spaces. He has been giving his opinion about the types of things that can be done to elevate that this is somewhat of a need, which is to pay attention to what our children are consuming online. And he's doing a fantastic job of brokering his celebrity into creating an awareness of some of the dangers that can be encountered by online misbehavior. And for all of us who operate in the online space and all of us that love to surf the internet or drivel through YouTube, my kids are very big proponents of Instagram and TikTok. I'm a little less familiar, but in all of those different medium, there are people operating up and on the level, but there are also, please type a one in the chat if you can still hear me. I think I lost my network somewhere. I'm gonna check. Can you guys still hear me any at all? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello. Anybody there? Please type a one in the chat if you can hear what I am saying. I think I have lost. Uh-oh. Okay. Can you all still hear me out there? I'm not sure. Well, I'm going to go on as if I can be heard. I can't tell if you can still hear me or if I have a delay. But anyway, I'm having a little bit of technical fight here on my hands. So, all I was going to say is that he's lending his celebrity to keeping people's attention on what can be happening in the online spaces. And often there are people out there that are targeting young people and manipulating things in the online space and creating all types of havoc. And so we definitely have to stay on the lookout for it. So, with that being said, more of his travels were announced, and that is that he went and got a birthday tattoo. Yes, he did. And of course, this drove the UK tabloid media crazy. And then, along with his birthday tattoo, he is also supposed to bounce out and visit Africa. So he is scheduled to go into Africa, I believe, to the area that he spent a lot of time, which is Lesotho. And he's supposed to visit some people there and lend again his wonderful activeness to some of the things that they are working on. So I look forward to seeing what he's going to do there and some of the people that he's going to be involved with. And it would appear, at least at this time, we do not have any news of whether or not our beautiful wife, the Duchess of Success, will be attending, or if he's just going to spend this month traveling all over the place, and Megan, however, might stay home and rest up. Because if traveling does anything to her that it does to me, you need your rest after these long trips. So he's on the go and he's going to be moving and bouncing. It also has been reported that he's supposed to drop through the UK for the Well Child Awards. And so, again, we are looking forward to seeing him in that arena. I mean, Harry is definitely making moves, and I love to see it. I just wanted to point out that when he visited Lesotho before, it appears that they also gave him a name. And it's interesting because it seems to be very common that in Africa, in the villages especially, or in various areas, that they'll give you a name that perhaps might be appropriate to your character. And he was given the name, I believe they called it, if I pronounce this correctly, Mohala or Mohali. And that name actually is translated to mean warrior, which is very interesting that that is how he would have been monikered many, many years ago. So I find that just to be a wonderful thought, and how much he is appreciated and loved in that area. Now, of course, he will have to navigate. Of course, remember what the UK media brings out is everything they can think of negative. So he will definitely have to navigate any and every story that is about Africa Parks. And that's because there are brewing stories of various forms of abuse happening with Africa Parks. Once again, the tabloid attack method for our family is they must always associate them with something negative. And in general, they seem to love trying to create stories of abuse or stories of bullying. For some reason, they seem to find it easier to hang that type of thing over their necks. And people, for whatever reason, glom onto those stories to associate with Harry and Meghan. It's an amazing trick that the UK tabloid media perform. As with this notable individual who previously worked for the Sussex family, um, this gentleman worked with Harry, I'm assuming, coordinating and working in the background to help him get his travels online and a lot of things that were being done up until the Columbia trip. And once they parted ways, as it was said, he was going to be working, I would think like 90 days to get a feel for whether or not this is a job he wanted to do. And with many of these people in this type of environment, working with a young couple one on one may not be the type of, I'm going to say, fame, glory, and excitement that they want to have. Because working with them, it's possible that because Meghan and Harry themselves are so hands on and so interactive, it may leave any other person working with them with the feeling that they're not doing that much. And it's very possible that you may feel that you're not as appreciated. Although this gentleman, I believe his name is Josh Kettler, he was the former chief of staff for Prince Harry. So basically, he would have been looking out for things that might be coming upon Harry from the back, right? This is the guy who's supposed to be watching out for silliness that's coming up on you from the rear. And that individual has to be someone you trust wholeheartedly. Like you can't have stories leaking from a person like that, or things being implied from someone who's supposed to be in your camp. But for whatever reason, whether it's not enough pay or much of the work might have been volunteer, whatever the reason, he stepped aside and decided, well, maybe this isn't for me as much as I think it is. And of course, it's probably a very demanding position, but it might be one that you have to operate in the background. So, for whatever, for those type of things, and he's a professional PR person, he may have said, "Well, this is really not for me. It's a little bit limited in its scope, so I'm going to move on to the next thing." So I'm thinking it's wonderful that he could put it on his resume. He also did not have anything really negative to report. Although, what does the UK tabloid media do with this story? Well, they turned this story into another staff member turnover from the Harry and Meghan team, as if they cannot have anyone work with them for very long, right? So what they do is they take the view of anything that happens and they try to put it in that same bag with, oh, Meghan is a bully, she's an awful person to work with. And as they attempted to do this, people still came out to say, no, she is a very good person to work with. The work environment with her is positive. And they had numerous people speak out to the fact about this silly article that was written where they were going to try to name Meghan Duchess Difficult. And it was amazing because the people who responded were very clear that the things that were described could not have been attributed to their workplace. And the reason being, they don't all work together in a workplace, right? So that alone made it funny the way they were describing her behavior in the workplace. Because, they were describing her behavior and her movements through an office setting, only to be kind of found out, well, she wouldn't have been stomping through an office because they don't work in the same location. So I thought that that was very interesting that finally people are not just saying, hey, this is not a true story, but I think it's very wonderful that they are also saying, here's why it's not true. Here's the evidence that lets you know whoever wrote this is making this up. And that is important because there are numerous stories about Harry and Meghan that are based in nothing, not even fact. They're just based in a type of storyline that the UK tabloids wish to perpetuate, right? Like, oh, well, you could just write that she's hard to get along with, right? Just make up the story. And so finally, it's becoming clear. And even in interviews, when they go back and ask these people who have worked for her, most of them say, oh, I had a lovely time. It was nice. I just needed to move on, or I wanted to go for another career and things like that. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to stand at least with the truth of those stories, because it is very obvious, for whatever reason, the UK tabloid media, even after 10 years, is not willing to let this go. And now they have created a feeding frenzy of other individuals willing to take on the role to continue the nonsense. All right, so let me say good morning to whomever's here in my chat today. Let's see who we got here. I want to say good morning to all of you and thank you again for being here. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button, people. And if you're willing, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know what kind of fitness programs you're on. So there's me. I'm saying good morning to King for Concepts. Hello, and so glad you made it. Oh, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you taking the time to come by and join the chat. I appreciate that. Oh, we also have Joyce Anderson that says, good Saturday afternoon. Yes, it is wonderful. Here it's a little bit cloudy, and she's saying hello to everyone, and she's happy to be here. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you are here for 100%. Oh, I see you dropped a one in the chat to let me know you could hear me. I don't know what happened there for a few minutes. Everything went off on my side. And I tell you, when you're fooling with all of these cables, cords, and microphones, I was like, I don't know what's going on. Thank you so much, Joyce Anderson, for being here. I appreciate it. You guys just don't know how wonderful it is to know that you're out there. I'm so excited. It's exciting. Now, to move on with, okay, and like I said, I promised I wasn't going to be here long. Okay, this because I'm really trying to gather myself. I don't know what's going on with me these days. But it looks like Harry also made a stop by the Jimmy Kimmel Show. For those of you who are familiar with Jimmy Kimmel, this is a late night television show, and he's the host. And he's often notorious for pranks and jokes, and he does things to people that are just all kinds of nutty. Well, Harry stopped by, and you guys, please get a chance. If you get a chance, please find some of the clips. What he's doing is he's escorting him through a haunted house. Now, here on this side of the water, or this side of the Atlantic, Halloween is getting started. And Halloween here is a big deal. And people love dressing up in costumes, and they love haunted houses, and they love scaring people for no reason. And Harry stopped by and he walked through this crazy haunted house. And it looked like a lot of fun. And it looked like the staff had a great time trying to scare Harry. Although sometimes he looked scared, and then other times he looked like, I don't know why I'm here. But it looked like great fun. So, for those of you who do enjoy Halloween, at least this season, maybe you can get dressed up and participate in a Halloween haunted house as well. He looked like he had a good time. So that was the upbeat thing. And again, without Megan being here, he's probably being a whole lot more silly and mischievous when he's out and about. At least that would be my thought process. But you know what I mean? A fella out hanging with the guys kind of thing. At least that's my thought. But I am hoping that he doesn't get wound up and twisted up in any of these things that shouldn't be going on, that seem to be happening in the other news. And we're going to get to a little bit of that. And the reason for that is this: most of our TV media attention now has spilled over into these big stories, right? These big topics. Now, of course, we have the Kamala Harris versus former President Trump, of course. That is the election cycle. So, of course, that's going to be huge in the news. That's no problem. We all expect that. But then we had, I don't know if you all were privy to, a comment by Janet Jackson about the Vice President, Kamala Harris. And everyone is like, where is this coming from? She made this statement about Kamala Harris and whether or not she was Black or not. Now, in the US, that's a big topic, but not in the way that Janet Jackson commented on it. It was just very strange. So it led people to think that once again another big star has no idea what is happening in the real world, right? And I have to say I tend to agree. If you have a comment about this or a thought about this, please go ahead and put it in the chat. I would love to hear your thoughts on whether you think Janet should have made a comment or if you think Janet was like saying something bizarre. I couldn't make it out. I tend to think she was making a statement to the actual interviewer as if she thought the interviewer made a mistake or didn't know. Something like that. But anyway, leave a comment if you think you have a thought on this this occurrence. Also, next to her, I have a picture of the mayor in New York City. This is Mayor Eric Adams. Oh my goodness. Folks, I cannot stop scrolling through YouTube watching videos of crazy nonsense. And he is somehow wound into it. But now this is the mayor of New York City who just recently is being indicted himself on charges of things like bribery, misappropriation of funds. I mean, oh my goodness, these big stars and big politicians are catching it. And so I'm watching all these things on YouTube and I'm thinking, what is going on? Same thing, folks. If you have any commentary or any thoughts about what might be happening with Mayor Eric Adams, please let me know your thoughts. I tell you where I'm landing right now. I'm beginning to think that perhaps he did take advantage of certain situations without realizing how that information might get out or how it would be seen. So he is now fighting in a battle for his own reputation, but it's very possible this would be his only term as mayor. It's very hard to come back from these things. And these are like scandals. Now, ancillary to all of that, but yet affiliated, is below. I have a picture of Kim Porter and P. Diddy. Now, if you're in my age bracket, many of you know who P. Diddy is. We used to call him Puff Daddy. Now, he's a little bit behind my age group, but close enough that if you were interested in music of the time, especially as hip hop was growing big on the stage, you're aware that he was a very big and influential personality, and he started a clothing line and all the things that he was doing and making big money moves, and he just became a huge popular figure in that music arena. And I can't imagine that anyone anywhere is not aware that he is currently fighting for his life after not only being indicted for various charges of like trafficking people across state lines, movement of drugs and drug paraphernalia, and then having legions of video, um, perhaps of very nefarious activities at many of his parties. So not only is he indicted, but he could not be released on bail. So he is actually physically in custody. And this man was a listed billionaire. Folks, I'm telling you, things are getting bizarre, right? We are just in this age of complete and utter strange and bizarre behavior. And these people are just, I believe, the beginning. So the reason I'm pointing to these folks and all of this craziness surrounding them is that although it seems completely separate from what is happening with the UK royal family, and the Harry Meghan situation, we are seeing similarities in footprint, right? You're seeing scandals, you're seeing various crime and criminal behavior, and then you're seeing also various individuals trying to distance themselves and remove themselves from being associated with it. So to me, that's kind of the thread running through much of this, right? Is all of these high profile individuals, and Harry and Meghan are extremely high profile, but now all of these other celebrities, which move through Hollywood, but also the music industry and also the political structure, it's as if the description of the house of cards falling apart is more applicable than ever. And it is as if that is what we are seeing. And so it brings me back to the thought process and what we experienced as we watched the UK media tabloid personalities continue to rev up their anger campaign, and they rev up all of their new, that they're trying to have all of their new television productions to keep their storyline going in a positive manner, but that it's not working. It just seems to not be holding up. I watched several entries of UK tabloid media, discussions, and call in shows where they were talking about the finance structure of the royal family. Now, I don't know how close this number is to accurate, but I thought it was interesting. They're quoting a figure of more than 150 million pounds per year, which is the cost or the funding required by the royal family, the UK royal family. And so they were just asking a general question on a news show. Do you think the royal family is worth that amount of money? Right? And so what you heard, which was interesting in the broadcast, is that you heard most of the older people, right? Without question, they didn't care what the cost was at all. They simply were royal fans. They loved the idea of the royal family, and they loved the idea of royalty in general and everything that it encompasses, right? The entire show of it. And although I'm not from the UK, I totally can understand that, right? Because I very, very much enjoy all of the movies about the royals. I enjoy film about the aristocrats. I love those shows. So I can totally understand their nostalgia and love of it, right? And that, of course, is without thinking about what it might cost to maintain it, how it became what it is. And then at the same time, on the flip side, they talked about the younger people who made their commentary online, not various, and rather than calling into a show, that they were looking at almost 75% of the commentary was that the royal family and that whole royal pageantry to them was of no value. Not like that, right? And so it was just a shocking shift based on age and I guess awareness. So that is something that they are definitely going to be dealing with in the coming years if they don't get their act together. And the sad part is, if they had held on to being a positive influence in the lives of Harry and Meghan, rather than turning on them and becoming a negative influence, it's as if they played their cards and they made the wrong play. Because Harry and Meghan, to me, would have been the transition to the monarch's future, right? But they misread the situation. They instead were pummeling down what would have been the beauty of the monarchy, right? Because they would have been interactive with the common people. They would have been more relatable and all of those things that now the royal family is trying to do with King Charles, right? Which is going to be very difficult because you're trying to take a man in his 60s or 70s and make him new and relatable. And that's totally idiotic, right? But that is what they're attempting to do. And then they're hoping on perhaps the son, Prince William, to be that next layer of interactivity with the regular population to keep the royal mentality, the royal world going. It's just not likely. It is just not likely. And at least that is my thought process. So, all right, just remember, folks, soon we're on our way to Invictus. Oh, thanks again. Oh, thanks again. Joyce Anderson, her comment says she needs to sit down and shut up. Ah, you should be ashamed. Yes. But on the other hand, you think that Mr. Eric Adams was set up. Okay, okay, okay. Well, we will see. I can't say that I would doubt you. I can't say that I would doubt you, but I do wonder. Oh, welcome in, Connie Balmer. Thank you so much for being here. It is great to have you here this morning as well. She, I'm drinking as I'm reading some of the comments. You guys are making me laugh totally. I've got to stop. You guys have got to stop. It is too much. You are being too much. But we will have to, I'm just curious how people feel about what they're hearing when it comes to some of these folks. Oh man, it is just too funny for me. But I do want to know, like you said, we're going to keep our eyes open and we're going to see if there are any changes or challenges to how these people get in or out of all of these, especially legal ramifications. Now, in the case of P. Diddy, oh man, I don't know. I'm just what I'm watching in the P. Diddy case is who all else might get wrapped up in some of these things. That is what has got me intrigued. Because I believe his nonsense is going to implicate almost everybody, but it's going to be to different degrees. All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you guys for being here. And listen, make sure that you hit the like button just to let me know that you care. Okay. We are definitely going to be on the side of our wonderful family in the Invictus Games. Now, I wanted to say, and I'm not sure if this is my last slide or not. Oh, I think I have one more. But I did want to say before I get ready to cut out of here, and I thank you all for being here. I don't know if you're familiar with wonderful actress Maggie Smith. Unfortunately, we have to all take heed that Maggie Smith passed away and it's very sad to me. She was 89 years old, and she's a fabulous actress. And of course, she's most known in the Harry Potter sequels, the film franchise, And of course, she was one of the super key figures in Downton Abbey. So, like I said, even I from the US truly, truly enjoyed all things that were kind of royal related. I love shows about the aristocracy. I can watch Pride and Prejudice over and over again. I love these things. But at the same time, that is a little bit different in wondering if it will translate to this, if it actually translates to maintaining the royal family, especially at the cost that it incurs. But Maggie Smith, she was 89 years old when she passed, and so she will be missed terribly because she was an absolute interesting force to be reckoned with in all of these different film series. Fantastic actress. So we have to definitely send prayers to the family because when it comes to her work, she did a job well done. It was fantastic. So as I'm about to wrap it up, oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. I have to put this comment up here too. You're correct, Connie Balmer. She also appeared in Sister Act. You're so right. And she was brilliant in it. She's absolutely fabulous at acting. What do you call it? Like incredulous that she's involved. Like whatever is happening around her. She's just fantastic at being like, oh my gosh, why am I here involved in this? She's fantastic. So as I get ready to wrap it up, I always let you guys know that I'm going to give you a Bible verse to remember, a couple of Bible verses or two. And no, I am not trying to recruit you into any type of cult. Okay. I love to say that because, nowadays people are very weird. But I like to always liken back to thoughts I might have and something that will come to mind. And it generally triggers an old Bible verse that something maybe my mom might have said many, many years ago. And it's in lieu of and in light of, right, the fact of what we're seeing as it relates to the politicians, as it's relating to the Hollywood personalities, the UK royal family. There is a tenuous situation that they are in because there are so many things coming into the light or coming into our realm of understanding, and social media is making it almost impossible to hide anything, right? And so it just reminded me of Proverbs. I love Proverbs, as I must say, chapter 12, but you can read any portion of it. But I began up at 13, but even though the focus is a little bit lower. And I'm going to read that because in Proverbs it says, look, lies will get any man into trouble, but honesty is its own defense. Telling the truth gives a man great satisfaction, and hard work returns many blessings to him. A fool thinks he needs no advice, but a wise man listens to others. A fool is quick tempered, and a wise man stays cool when insulted. A good man is known by his truthfulness, and a false man by his deceit and lies. And some people like to make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise soothe and heal. Truth stands the test of time. Lies are soon exposed. Deceit fills the hearts that are plotting for evil, but joy fills the hearts that are planning for good. No real harm befalls the good, but there is constant trouble for the wicked. Now, I need to leave you with that series of thoughts. And I know that often it doesn't seem that way, but I tend to think that if you live within that space, it solves you, or rather not solves, but it will prevent you from being in the midst of a whole lot of mess. So keep that in mind. And if you ever have questions, go back and think about Proverbs 12. Okay? And with that said, folks, thank you for being here. I'm going to say to all of you, you know how I do. I like to give everybody a round of applause for hanging out with me here today. I didn't keep you too long. Meditate on that. And we're going to get out of here. And hopefully, I'll be on time next weekend. Stay strong, stay fit.